Fun in the Sun contest keeps rolling on. Just 2 more weeks, week 6, week 7, and then the final table on closing day of the Saratoga meet. The current prize pool for that final table is up at $14,000 plus. And Barry Spears, my good friend, is here to join me. We're going to take a look at the second half of this tournament, which are the first 5 races from Del Mar. And then while we're talking about Del Mar, we can take a look at the stakes race, the Pat O'Brien, which is a little later on in the card. So Barry, we've discussed this format a couple times. It's just really fun. It's simple. It's only win wagers, so you don't have to worry about exactas, tries, supers, anything crazy like that. You can shoot for some prices. You had a fantastic week last week. I know I've already seen a few people thank you for helping them hit pick fives and helping them hit other wagers. And it's simple. That these are the types that we like as contest players, because like if you have a day like you might have had last week, or a good day like we all have as gamblers at some point, you can win this thing. You can give yourself a chance to make it to the final table and then shoot for even bigger money.
Yeah, I mean, again, these races are not obviously impossible, and everything is kind of rapid fire. So
Yep.
definitely have to stick to your selections when you do play in this contest. But yeah, had a decent week last week, and was seeing the ball well. And sometimes it only takes that one day for something like that to happen for you to get a big payday. I see the final table prize pool is starting to get up there. I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine by the end of the meet, it's going to be probably close to 30,000, double what it is now. So that's a good payday for anybody.
Going to be a blast over the next few weeks. Remember, the 70% gets paid out to the top 3 finishers each week. Top 5 get a spot in the final table. So you have 2 more chances to try to secure your spot this weekend on Saturday, next weekend on Saturday. Barry and I will talk about the Del Mar portion of this. If you want some help with Saratoga, Matt DeSantis joined me to talk about races 9 through 13 from Saratoga. And that is basically 4 of the other 5 races there. It's the last 5 races from Saratoga. There is a 14th race that's not a stakes race, but we can pretty much help you out with the 4 races over there. And then Barry and I will help you with Del Mar right on over here. And we kick things off at Del Mar, Barry, with a 2-5 favorite, Emerald Bay, for Bob Baffert down on the inside. Now, Emerald Bay is stretching out from 5.5 to a mile, which is not easy. So for a horse that's 2-5, generally at this short of a price, you'll see a horse doing something they've done before that we're sure of. We don't know this horse really wants to go a mile. Breeding wise should be fine. Obviously he showed some ability in the debut, but this horse gets hooked up early with another 1 or 2. It's not as if he's a cinch in here for a young horse. So 2-5 to open the card at Del Mar. Who are some of the horses on your radar here?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat the Emerald
Sure,
Bay.
he's
Like
nice, absolutely.
he's just faster
And
on
there's just, well,
paper. The
the real thing
traction
is there's nobody else in here that's that
that's that fast.
interesting. Like, he
Right.
may not be an unbeatable horse, but if you're looking at your options in the rest of this field, there's just not many that are all that interesting based on what they did like in their last start. We're looking at
Yeah, it's
horses,
slim pickings in,
right?
in this race. I mean, you could make a case that possibly Dr. Ruben M could, give Emerald Bay a tussle early and,
At
and
least
kind of
he's got
soften
enough
him up.
speed, right?
Right.
Because this is what happened to him last time when he was making his second start. So Dr. Ruben M is the 6, and we'll be watching the head on
came from last
here.
to get 4th.
Just like another second. And so he's the 6, and we'll see him, stumble pretty, and that was pretty bad. Like, there are different levels of stumble. That one was, and he took a couple steps to the side. So he wasn't able to show his speed, and the horse that he lost to, Getaway Car, came back and won the grade 3 best pal with an 85 Beyer speed figure. So we might be able to just kind of eliminate that race. And if you're playing him off of his debut, like, he's at least a horse who can keep up with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's fast enough to get in his way.
Yep.
But the other issue with that is that you're probably going to be ending up on the second choice,
Yeah.
which is Emerald Bay's stablemate in Authentic Spirit to
Yep.
kind of pick up the pieces. So, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It really looks chalky, this race in itself. But I mean, I personally would take Emerald Bay and move on. And if you wanted to throw in another horse, in a pick 5 situation, maybe the 4, but I can't see much after that.
Authentic Spirit was working with Emerald Bay on July the 19th, and Authentic Spirit was like faster, and I thought better in that workout. And then they raced, and Authentic Spirit was kind of more part of a pace battle. Didn't obviously show the same finish that Emerald Bay did, but there's a little something there with Authentic Spirit. The horse that I thought was an okay, like the 5 ran okay going longer last time out. At least he has that. Like at least he's gone longer. I mean, but that was on the turf. He could be just really outrun in a spot like this. So, if you're trying to dig for some prices in here, it was just harder to find them. I thought the 3 was the very logical horse that at least has enough speed to keep up with them. And we said you can make an excuse for that last one. 4 was trading well, and the 5 at least maybe a horse who can pick up some pieces. But 2 to 5 with Emerald Bay to kick off the Del Mar card on Saturday, August the 24th. Oh, got to give a little shout out to while we're going through August the 24th, my sister Chanel, her birthday, August the 24th. She's 2 years younger than me. So shout out to Chanel. She had to deal with the man, when you're the younger sister, just getting, annoyed, picked on. I was singing in her face all through the years, all that stuff. But, but then as you get older, it's nice to have the older brother who, is there. Like, I definitely, you don't want to mess with my sister. And I'll step in, right? Like, I can mess around with her, but you can't.
Yeah.
That's always the way. That's always the way it's got to go. So happy birthday, Chanel.
Happy birthday.
Let's move to race number 2, my friend. And this one is a Calbred, optional claiming first level allowance, going a mile and a 16th. This was so funny looking at the Timeform US pace projector in here. You don't see this one often. No speed. There is just, I was laughing just trying to figure out how they were going to be placed, because you really don't have any horses in here at all who have 1s early by their name. A lot of them don't even have 2s and 3s. Like, these horses are not close early on. Most of the races that we see on page. Because of that, Barry, I think the horses that I'm trying to project getting good trips are the ones that I think might be interesting. Like Jesse Bear is one at first glance you may not look at. Then you kind of go back through the field. I think
might be the speed.
With Maldonado aboard too, that might be just the intent. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, look, she's naturally been quicker than some of these others in here. Let's just put her in the race, and that'll at least go a long way in here.
Yeah, totally. Definitely looks like the speed. Whether that happens or not is another story, because like you said, on paper, nobody looks like they really want to run fast early. No. And I don't think they're gonna.
No.
So anybody who does get out there could have a big advantage. I mean, even the 2, if you really look at it, has a shot to kind of take over the lead and could get a nice trip doing that.
She had a long layoff, and then off the long layoff, she was a step slow, and then had a wide post. Now she gets back to the inside third, start off the bench. They could just try to get aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. But if anything, if class does mean anything, the 6-horse course
towers over this field.
Tough.
Yeah, she towers over the field. In a bigger field, the 1 has some grass races going long on the turf that are solid. Like her first 4 races and the race at this level when getting put up to third, that wasn't a bad effort. So, and there's things to build on off that. And maybe she's coming out of some dirt sprints. So maybe just by default, she can be a little more forwardly placed in here and sit in a good spot. But I had trouble looking anywhere besides like 1, 3, and 6. Those were just the ones like I couldn't make cases for the others, because at least these 2 horses I can see like what we were trying to do. I can see them getting a couple lengths jump on Court Snort. Almost feel like I'm saying like something bad, like a bad word or something. Court Snort, right? Like, who is like just getting some. This is a really good spot because she gets major class relief, but she's protected because she's a Calbred here.
Right. It's a optional in a state bred company is probably where she fits best anyway. And her races, most of them are faster than all of these horses.
And they've been
They
going a lot quick. Like she's the type of horse who I would tell because I'm gonna go tell all my jockeys what to do when I'm owning all my horses, right? I was gonna say I would tell Ristfully to just be more aggressive with her in this type of a race. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
we think she's the best. This is when she's not a fast horse early, and that's probably not when she's at her best. But in a small field like this, when you're way better, I would say, hey, just if you have to work a little bit harder to make sure she's just sitting third and not far out of it,
Right. Just
just
get a
do
good
that.
position. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't be like, yeah, don't mess around with these guys.
Yeah. Cause
Just
it's
get
the,
your position and kind of go from there. You're probably better than these horses,
yeah.
so you know you can
You don't want to
afford
be
a
the
little
reason
bit.
why
Yeah,
she loses,
right.
like give her every chance. And if someone else really outruns her, or if they step up, fine. But if you just put her really close in this race, she's going to be pretty tough. That's what makes it difficult in some of these races that are shorter with these races. And then you have, a couple of the races at Saratoga where you have to make a decision. Do you want to take a big swing with a horse that you don't think has a chance, or do you shorten up in one or two of these races? Maybe
Yeah,
Jesse Bear.
like in this race, I would try cold exactas, just straight up with the 6 over Smart Monique the 2 and then Sushi Sticks the 5. That's
There's
really how I would attack this race because it's going to be really hard to get Court Snort. But if it does happen, I'd say it's a horse like Smart Monique that gets it done, or even Sushi Sticks kind of coming into the fold from being off a little bit. It's really this is a tough race to get around the favorite, even tougher than the first race, to be honest.
Let's get to race number 3. 40 claimers in here going 6.5. This is a really tricky race because you have horses like Chasing Money who fits at this level, but for the last 12. This doesn't win, like
Just
hasn't been
doesn't
winning
win.
and
Mm.
kind of gets into a little bit of traffic and just sort of gets beat to a spot quite often. Should should have every opportunity again right here. Third start off the long layoff for giving Spirits for the last 10. You have a horse like the 3 Tahoe Sunrise, who he fits pretty well, but it's dropping out of graded stakes company. And so that's always a little bit concerning when you have a horse like this. And you just really don't see Baffert have many claiming horses. Honestly, like he's very rarely in claiming races like this. You see him in maiden special weight races, allowance races, and then stakes company for the most part. Cowboy Mike fits pretty well in here. He's in nice form. This is a little longer than a little shorter than where he's been at his best, but a mile and 6.5 usually going to translate pretty well. I thought the 2 outside horses kind of interesting prices, maybe if you were looking for a price to kind of toss in there. So talk to us about some of the horses on your radar here.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent field for a $40,000 claimer. Um, of note, the one Chasing Money, I just don't like at all. The horse runs on dirt like a turf horse should or would. If you look at those 2 races, one June 30th at Los Al, and then August 3rd at Del Mar, the horse makes a middle move and kind of quits. And you see, kind of loses ground in the first race and kind of stayed even in the second race. I really don't think you're going to get more out of that horse on dirt than that. For that reason, at 5-2, I just can't go there with that horse. I mean, obviously the horse can very well win this race, but I'm going to side against because I think this horse is going to take action for that kind of fool's gold in those 2 dirt races you see on the tab. I do like Tahoe Sunrise dropping in out of those races. I know it's not the most flashy thing to drop out of a grade 2 into a $40,000 claimer, and it's not something that you see a lot of Baffords do. but this horse really hasn't proven to be better than that.
No, I was gonna say he is interested. Like, he's not really a graded stakes horse, right?
No,
So he was
and
in those stakes races, like just kind of as filler in some of them. They took he had run well in the shared belief, and then he came back and ran well again. So it's like, yeah, what are we gonna do? Let's put him in a stakes race. But he just showed he was overmatched. So I agree. Like, I'm not as concerned with this as like a drop in class as it may be with a different horse that was coming out of.
right, he's never proven to be a grade 2 type.
No,
I mean, I know he's running 2 of them the last 2 races,
he
but
just was
he's
not
never
in.
proven. Right,
No,
they were taking a shot, and I don't blame them.
it was one of them was only a
Obviously, the
4-horse field, so you
right,
might as well.
exactly, and then the start on the grass. If you throw those out, this horse fits to a T in this race. Probably will have a nice trip, trying just to outrun him. I think. I do think he's faster than Cowboy Mike,
And he's probably just classier
and
speed.
classier as well. Right. So that
And
that might make all the difference. There's not much in here, coming from the back. I know Tarantino likes to close, and Bilotti probably will have to in this spot, but I
it's
just
another. I start
I don't see
eliminating
a duel
horses,
here. Yeah,
right? Like, and there's
exactly.
a lot of horses in this race. I did what you did with the one. I eliminated the two. Cowboy Mike, obviously he's logical, but he's going to be your favorite in here. I've played Tarantino a lot of times in the last like year and a half, looking in spots kind of like this, and so I'm going to wait for him. Bilotti's coming off a long layoff. By process of elimination, I started wanting to give both the 7 and 8 maybe a shot if this was a race you were looking to go a little bit bigger, because I totally agree with you that the 3 is the horse. I think the 3 is the horse to beat. No
Yeah,
doubt about
yeah,
it.
and I
So
think it's going to be bet that way too.
yeah,
I think the 3 is going to be the favorite.
me too. And
But
he should be.
I do think Ready to Pounce has some sneaky good form,
Some back class, right?
on
Right?
the
Because
drop.
all of his races have been against better. Every race
Much
that
better.
every
Much
race
better.
that
If you
he's been
look
in.
through the horses who are winning those races,
Just a couple
Ready to
starts back,
Pounce would
he's
win.
facing Mulligan, who's going to be favored this weekend in the Grade 1 Forgo. He's 8-5 on the morning line. Injunction is a stakes horse. I mean, you just go up and down. We're talking
Safa's
about
Day, Minnesota Ready,
Surveillance, Hear Me Song. These are
Warrior
all
Johnny
stakes
won
horses.
at Saratoga recently, and then
Yep.
stepped up into a stake. Hear Me Song, Surveillance. I mean, this horse has been keeping really, 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 really good company,
Now,
and
the key,
I think those races at Churchill in particular have been very, very strong, and probably rate a lot better than it looks on paper in this spot.
yep.
So Ready to Pounce is definitely a live horse for me in
Be,
this race.
because he is a new face to me. That's just more interesting than a lot of these that we were just going through and eliminating. And D'Amato's very good off the claim, and you get that bonus for shipping and coming in for him. The distance should be a perfect distance if he gets the trip.
Right, and
He
he's
just
also
needs.
had 2 months with the horse too.
Yep.
So I'm sure he's gotten to know this horse, and
And look
I
at some
would
of the
hope
works. I would not be shocked at
if
all
he's
to
gonna
see him
show some
closer.
speed. Right.
Closer, right? Same
Yes.
thing that we were just talking about earlier, like not on the lead, but put him in third or fourth. Get him out of the gate, get him in a good spot, and then let him have a shot to actually close and pass some horses, because he can do that. He can finish if he has an opportunity. I mean, his last win was a while ago, but if you look at that win, I mean, that win would win this race
Yeah, I
at
mean,
Churchill.
if you look at his race at Churchill in 2022,
Yep.
right, the September 15th race, anything close to that will win here, and
Oh yeah.
and and it looks like this horse is going to have some pace to run into.
Yep.
I mean, Tahoe Sunrise is going to have to motor to get to the lead. It's
Because the
not going to
two's got
be
to go to the
easy,
inside.
right? And it may be just enough pace for a horse like the 7 to run well in this spot.
Yep. That'll be key. He's the one. I thought that was a fun price. Yeah, Redline's another one who I prefer the 7, but Redline has some races that actually aren't bad. I know this Turf Paradise race people will probably kind of dismiss, but his race at Pleasanton 2 starts back really wasn't that bad when finishing third. He chased Parenting last time out. He's one that from the mile to 6.5, he might be able to just fall into a good one. He's more of like a try horse than
Yeah, I
maybe
was going to
playing in
say
the
underneath.
contest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's an underneath kind of
like
horse.
I like the 7 more as a win candidate because he's more of like a feast or famine kind of horse, the 7. Like he could win this race. He might run last if he doesn't get the trip because he just doesn't have a lot of early speed. Redline probably could run 3rd in here. I don't know if he could win.
Yeah,
right? So there's
I agree.
different way of looking at the two of them. Ready to Pounce and Redline, perhaps offering you a little bit of value towards the outside, but Barry and me both feel like Tahoe Sunrise is the horse to beat in race number 3. Let's move to the 4th, Barry. We have a mile on the turf course, maiden special weight race for maidens, fillies, and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Feels like there was kind of a strong 3 based on their recent form. And then maybe a couple of wild cards in here. You have Spanish Cara and Rehearsal. She's the Law. All 3 of them come out of the July 27th race. And they all, when you're watching the race back, we can actually do that since it's kind of an important race from this field where you have a couple of the major contenders. So we're watching She's the Law, who's the 9, gets out front. Rehearsal's the 7, and then Spanish Cara is the 12. Those are 3 horses that will take a lot of money in here. So we can watch them, Barry. We can talk about this field a little bit. Tis the Law will be the speed. And then you'll have these other 2 who are going to make their second U.S. start, their second start off bit of a break. Both of them raced in May, then came to the U.S., didn't race till July 27th here, and both of them didn't show a lot of speed. So the 7 and the 12 towards the back and the 9, those are the 3 we're looking at in here. Of these 3, are they on your radar? Do you like 1 or 2 or 3 of them more than the others? Talk to us about this race a little.
You know, I think this race could be really, really simple if it goes like what it looks like on paper, meaning if the 6 is able to shake loose here, this horse is going to be real tough.
Yep.
I'm not really fond of Rehearsal that much. The horse's races overseas weren't all that good. His first race in America wasn't all that great. I'm sure he can build upon that and improve for sure. But at 2-1, I just can't do it.
Well, and the issue with Rehearsal and Spanish Cara, both the
same
2 of
kind
them
of thing, and
who were
ran the
watching
same kind of race, yeah.
Because they start moving together here from the back, and you see them. But the issue that they have in this race could be the very same issue they have on Saturday, right?
Too far back and into a slow pace. And
getting a little bit of traffic, then getting forced wide. Look, the 7 has to get forced out like 6 wide. Then the 2 of them kind of bump a little bit towards the outside, and then they close. But how does the 9 get beat right here, Barry? Oh my gosh. Like right here? This is sick. And then the 2 just kind of appears like out of nowhere. It's like, oh my gosh. That was pretty brutal.
The 9 was trying too. You could see him sticking his neck out.
Yeah.
The horse was really, really trying, and it just ran out of gas at the wrong time.
That was a sick beat.
But I do have the notion that kind of thing could happen again.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not so sold on She's the Law as an easy win candidate, because the same sort of thing could happen and people can pick up the pieces. I think Bottle Rocket is interesting in this spot. Actually, both Leonard Powell horses are. Golden Skyline, the 7, also, I think are 2 horses, Bottle Rocket and that one are 2 that could be right there. And in fact, Bottle Rocket was in that race we just saw.
Yep. Was the one in there.
And just got a terrible trip.
Yep.
And I can forgive that for a horse like
this. Horse was only beaten like 3 lengths there.
Yeah, he was coming. I mean, finally kind of figured it out at the end. But at 20-1 in a spot like this, where the favorite is kind of a not
if you're
an absolute,
and if you're in the contest,
favorite,
the 2, 5, and 6 winning probably don't hurt you.
No,
that much, because those 3 are going to be sizably shorter prices than everyone else in here.
Right, 3-1 and lower. Basically.
Yep, and then everyone else will be really playable. So this is a race that you may really want to take another shot, especially if you cashed in early at Del Mar on a couple of these shorter horses. And this one, maybe you take a swing because you don't feel like anyone that beats you with one of those horses isn't going to separate from you all that much. I thought the 3 was very playable. You mentioned the 7 as well. Like Leonard Powell's really sneaky. He's one of my favorite trainers to bet on.
Yeah,
his
because you're never
horses,
gonna. He's almost never a favorite,
nope,
and he's got live horses. I
really
like
good.
guys like that too.
And a lot of them are in grass races too, like this,
Yes,
like long
yes,
on the grass
definitely.
and spots like this where you'll get a more playable race. So he'll be in a bigger field and you can find a hidden trip or two. I I don't know. I'll probably throw this horse in a pick 4 or pick 5. Neil Drysdale is not great with first time starters. I think the numbers are 2 for the last 62.
Hmm.
But what's funny, the winners are 35 to 1 and 23 to 1. So if you just blindly bet all 62 of the first time starters and you bet $2 to win on them, you would not win often, but your $2 would get you back $1.98. You'd almost be dead even just by betting on these first time starters because 2 of them win at massive prices. So he can win in the right spot. This horse has some ability in his, you can see it in her workouts in the morning. It's just, it's trying to go a mile first time out for a barn that's not that great first time out. But I'm going to keep a real eye on her, especially if she runs kind of sneaky good in here. And then for the next time out, her dam won the debut sprinting, but never tried turf. And then actually, so you see the dam play it true, one sprinting first time out at Aqueduct. And then I actually liked this horse last week who ran well, but got beat by the horse you liked, Sarwar, Irish
Yeah,
Prophet,
Sarwar.
who's a half sit. And Irish Prophet is like a really solid allowance turf horse, right? That's where this horse fits. So you look and you see Weekend Update is a turf horse as well. Has a win going 6.5 and ran third going long on the grass. So there is a little long on the grass in the pedigree. There's a dam that won sprinting on the dirt, and there's some ability in the morning with the works. So there's a couple little things that kind of check the boxes that I like with first time starters. She could float up too. She could be 10 to 1. Then then I can jump in. Like if she's 6, that might be a little short just because the things that I'm mentioning. But if she does get bet early, she might be really live. She might be a horse that people are playing for a reason. So I thought
Yeah,
she was
there's
interesting.
nobody that's out of the question in this
It's a
race. I
monster
mean,
in here. So it
even,
could. This of the first 4 races is to me the one of the most fun take a stab race.
yeah, because it could be chaos. I mean, in the contest, it could be very pivotal because of the timing of a long shot in a
Yep.
race like this.
Yeah.
Could definitely shake up the leaderboard. So you gotta tread carefully playing the chalk.
Let's get to race number 5. We'll finish up the fun in the sun races. Remember, you get to expressbet.com. You can register. It will cost you $125 total. Your $25 is the entry fee, and then the other 100 is just for the $10 win bets that you make throughout the contest. So if those hit, you keep the cash. It stays right on your account, and then you can also win if you finish in the top 3, and then top 5, you get one of those seats as well. So lots of money to play for and future money in a future spot in that big final table. Barry, race number 5, 20,000 non-winners of 3, going a mile on the dirt in here. The number 2 Slam Diego, 2 to 1 on the morning line. Second start off the long layoff. Not a lot of early speed recently from this one's had some trouble coming out of the gate. The 6 comes off a win at 25. Pretty solid right here at this level, coming right back with Hernandez aboard for Sadler. Those 2 are your top 2 betting choices in here. So from a talking standpoint, we can start with them. But let's talk about if you like them, if you like any others. How should we take a look at race number 5?
Well, this is, I'll give you a glimpse into how I think about these things. So Slam Diego, you see the voided claim back in August 26th last year. Doesn't show up again until August 1st of 2024.
Yep.
And looks like there was a claim that was withdrawn
Yeah.
for this horse. This can't be a good thing in a
No.
race like this.
At a short price.
At a short price. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it. Non-winners of 3. This horse comes back off the bench, gives you a decent effort, and is probably going to get bet again. I can't feel confident in betting a horse like this in any way, shape, or form. Then you go to Asian Matriarch the 6th. drops in class sort of after the win.
I know.
Um, and
It would
it's a little bizarre because this horse really hasn't shown to be better, but hasn't shown to be all that good in the races that he's been in. Sure, she's been in. I mean, the last one you could probably say is her best race, but it wasn't all that good, and she barely won.
she
I can't
sat a
feel
pretty good
confident
trip,
in.
kind of grind, like it kind of fell into a
Yeah, kind of, she did what she was supposed to do in a race like that.
yeah.
But then you go into a condition claimer. It's weird. It's just a weird move to me. I don't know what they're going to get out of it, especially in a race like this where there is some speed and there is some pretty decent closers. I wouldn't, venture to take either of those two favorites in this race. If they beat you, fine, go ahead. But you can have them because they're definitely not going to be on my ticket. I landed on the 7 Gray Frost.
This is one of the. I have 2 horses that I could play in this race. This is one of them.
Yep. Ran pretty decent back in Indiana in April of last year. Hasn't been seen for a while. But I don't think that's a bad thing in a race like this where these
This
horses
because this is where she fits.
she fits
This is her
completely
level.
to a
She's
T.
not taking like a weird drop or not stepping up or anything. Like this is a class level where she's always been competitive. You could see she started against a little bit tougher, but as soon as they dropped her in, she's a this level claiming horse.
Yeah, and she fits it to a T, and probably is, I think, the best closer, kind of in the race.
Yeah.
uh, there's quite a bit of speed, and that brings me to my next point about the pace scenario. There's quite a bit of speed in here. The 8 Love Our Family should want to go to the lead. Asian Matriarch um, might show some zip in a spot like this. Run for My Honey. The only 2 wins that horse has had has been by open lengths going wire to wire. Uh, Doreen's Wildcat is another one that's been forwardly placed on the synthetic and kind of getting back into racing. This would be the 3rd off the bench, so I would imagine that horse is going to show some speed. Dancing Cat has shown speed pretty much every start. Slam Diego has shown speed on occasion as well. So I think this pace is going to be really good, and ripe for somebody to come off the pace. That's why I like the 7. And I'm also going to think about and probably use in multi-race bets the 1, Una Palabra. Um, you know, I just think this horse second time at this sort of level makes a lot of sense. I don't think this horse really wants to lead and can sit a nice trip behind all this speed at a decent price at 15-1 morning line.
And if the 3 is ridden in here to slow down a little bit, this pace will be really fast. Sometimes in these races, like I think this horse is faster than everybody else.
Probably, yeah.
If they ride her like that, there might be versions of this race that she steals it because all that next tier of horses that you're mentioning, they don't really want to pass horses. But
No,
she
not
might
at
just
all.
be faster than them, get out front. Like this is one of those types of races where if you can get a horse that separates a little bit, you may not see many passing. And that's why we went to the horses one of them that we really do think will be passing is the 7, Gray Frost. Then on the total opposite end of the spectrum, in a pick 5, I'm throwing in the 3 as well, because there might be a race where she just is faster than these horses that are like route speed. And she's just got sprint speed, clears away, and nobody really wants to pass, and kind of what do we say? A less expensive race.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has sort of a pace advantage. It just depends on who's going to
How,
try her up front early,
yeah.
like who's going to challenge her.
And is she ridden like she was ridden in those sprint races, or is she going to be ridden a little slower, because this is a longer race? Because sometimes that's bad. That'll bring some more of the horses in the race for her and make them a little more competitive early. So I would prefer, hey, let's just try to open up 4 or 5 lengths on the field early on and see if we can like put a lot of these horses away early. The 7 was the one who you went to first, though, because the form's muddied up. She hasn't run in a while, but you're getting the price built into it, and she fits here. And she has a little versatility to her too, but the key is that she can pass horses. That's the real key.
That's the real key. Yeah, you don't want her too far off the lead, obviously, but you want her in range so she can kind of outfinish some of the horses up front.
Barry, it's not part of the Fun in the Sun contest, but the Pat O'Brien is race number 9. It's a grade 2. I figured while we're talking, we can just take a quick look at that because we get to see a really cool horse in here in the Chosen Vron, who is a Calbred who has won 19 of 24 races, a multiple grade 1 winner. Just always shows up in fires, uses those Calbred races like, workouts or like, paid workouts to pick up checks all the time. And he's fast, but he can sit. He can pass horses. He likes Del Mar. He's just a cool horse. And he's the 3-5 favorite in the Pat O'Brien. But there are a couple, if you're trying to beat him, there's a horse like the 4 Raging Torrent, who's in pretty nice form right now. He put back-to-back nice victories together over at Churchill Downs. And he had shown ability earlier in his career. He just kind of ran into some nice horses like Prince of Monaco and Muth, and then tried the grass a couple times and ran into a good horse named King of Gosford. So he has ability. Happy Jack was not far behind the Chosen Vron a couple starts back, and then he had a big win in the Triple Bend. And, there are some other talented horses. Senor Buscador, we know, who has had some awesome races this year going longer, but he's one turn is kind of good for him. Like if they go fast enough early, he will be flying late. So while the Chosen Vron, respect him, horse to beat, no doubt, he does have a couple interesting foes in here.
Yeah. If you're inclined to take a shot against the Chosen Vron, which I kind of do not recommend.
I know. You've been beat many times when you've tried. Yeah.
Yeah. I zeroed in on 2 horses. The one I like the best between the 2 of them is the 5 Big City Lights.
Yep.
I think the versatility of this horse is going to come in handy. Mandela does a good job with these kind of horses coming off this sort of layoff.
And that race in
the
Triple Bend race, and even the last couple, like it was a field of 4 and it was tricky. He was 3 wide in that field, and Happy Jack was down on the inside and he kind of shows speed. It was just the complexion of the race was sort of strange, and he kind of didn't get the best of it in that small field.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're seeing the jockey change to Kimura in this spot.
Yep.
Because he did kind of get himself into trouble and was wide and deep.
He was too much into it. Now I think they want him to relax maybe a little bit more.
Right, and I think that's the idea with putting Kimura on. He'll sit a little bit better trip. The other horse is Happy Jack, who I think is a good closer.
I like him too. Yeah.
He ran really well in the Triple Bend, but that wasn't his typical race. He kind of dominated that race, and he really isn't that kind of horse. I think he's going to sit a little bit farther off the pace than a horse like Big City Lights, but he's definitely going to be motoring home. He has the back class to kind of stay in touch and kind of make some noise late.
He showed us a couple starts back that he's good enough to be close to the Chosen Vron in that Kona Gold race. Then he took a step forward in the Triple Bend, and as you pointed out, it wasn't even the race shape for him. He was just really good that day, and they just he was down on the inside, and they just went with him and like went along with it. And this is a point that you always make. He couldn't really even take another step forward after that, right? He hit his ceiling.
Right.
That 105 buyer speed figure, that was a big effort from him. So he just didn't get very great race shape last time out. And because of that, instead of being 9-2 like he was last time, he could be double that. He could be, 8-1, probably in the 6-ish to 1 range, I'd say.
Definitely. Because the run is definitely going to be all of that 2-5 or 3-5, probably less than 3-5.
And people know Senor Buscador now too. I wouldn't be shocked if he took a little bit of money and was like,
I hope so, because he has no shot in this race. How is he gonna? He's gonna make up all that ground, and he's very slow out of the gate.
To me, it just seems like very nice for him to hit this race and then get a little bit of speed into him for the next one.
Right. Yeah. This seems
like
a
nice prep
starting point for him.
Yeah.
To get to the Classic.
There's a look at the feature on Saturday at Del Mar. Remember to get involved in the Fun in the Sun Handicapping Tournament. And remember, when you head to drf.com, go to shop.drf.com for that Del Mar shop. Everything you need: past performances, clocker reports, DRF picks, betting strategies. Barry, my man, Anything you want to mention as we get out of here?
No, just kind of hanging out. Gonna enjoy the Travers and see these first 5 at Del Mar, and hopefully get in that tournament and make some noise.
There we go. Don't forget, Fun in the Sun Handicapping Tournament. Go register right now as that final table prize pool builds up. Top 3 get paid out each week. Top 5 make it to the final table, which is closing day at Saratoga. Hope you all have an awesome weekend. Good luck playing the races Saturday at Del Mar.